Hello, my brothers and sisters. This is a quick one. Um, I've been noticing that a lot of us black folks is what I'm speaking about. There's a lot of us who are getting up in age, and we're supposed to take over the helm of being the wise one. You know, when it comes to our culture, and when I speak about the black folks, I'm talking about black American folks. And we do have a culture. It's just that we keep constantly giving up what we are, who we are, what we done. I mean, there's a lot of things that's been coming out, a lot of the inventions, from the doorknob to something small to something large that a black American person, male or female, has invented. And when a black American person, male or female, sees this, their mind just get blown because they're like, wait a minute, we did this, we invented that, and nobody knew this. Even white folks in America, when they see it, their mind get blown away that, oh, that was invented by someone black. We use that today. You know, a lot of them been taught that we didn't do nothing, we contribute nothing to America. But hey, it's all was a part of that group that I didn't discuss to y'all, but one day I'll get around to it. But when it comes to the black American, there was always, because I'm an older black American, I'm in my 50s. So there was always somebody that was wise around the block. There was always the old woman, that old wise woman, that old wise man. Nowadays it's like you don't see that as much because the older people are either shunned because they're old or they are trying to compete with the new life, you know. And the wise mom, because we all come from a mother, you know, you could talk about black men are this and black men are that. There was a black woman who gave birth to that black man, and all of us come from a black woman, right? Some of us came from a white woman, some of us came from other race of women, but the majority of black males and black females come from black women, American black women, right? The ones in America, you know, the ones I'm talking to. What I'm trying to say is this: we have taken our knowledge and thrown it away to recapture our youth. And it's it's making our youth suffer because our youth is not getting that knowledge of the old. I seen people from my time forgot all about what we did or what happened when we was young and the old passed down their knowledge to us. A lot of things is going away. Okay, a perfect example, right? We know that when it comes to men and women, women don't like to admit it, but when it comes to men and women, arousal, you know, sexual arousal could happen to everyone, to anyone. A woman see a man she get aroused. A man see a woman that he likes, he get aroused, right? Heterosexuals, right? Now, what happens if men is in that sexual arousal way that women like all the time? Women will have a hard time controlling themselves when it comes to men. Now, in the black community, young black women was not allowed to wear a certain thing or be a certain way because we are all dynamically built. Females, the black females are dynamically built, right? That's why back in the days they was like, nah, don't put them on TV. Don't put them on TV. Don't give them this. Don't put them on a poster that much. They all make sure they shape like this one because they are freaking awesome. But okay, you know, so a lot of black women wasn't wearing a certain thing, and I'm not going to go back to the time of hiding because of a so-called slave master coming around and taking advantage of her. Because I don't, that's one thing that they this keep people keep doing to oppress our mind of holding on to a past of good things. Like if you was eating an ice cream cone and you was happy that day, they'd be like, oh yeah, but they had chains on your feet. And then you'll just throw that away. You won't eat ice cream again. You just hate, no, we ain't going to do that to ourselves no more. We got to stop doing that every time someone says, oh, but remember this slave. No, 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 no. It happened. We got free. We even whipped some ass to get there. Okay? So don't try to pretend like we're weak. Because that's what is going on. It's making you seem weak. You won't accept a black man taking another black man, beating him up, right? And putting them on, making them do something. Or a black woman, I made you do this. So why are you going to keep allowing someone to talk about slavery to you? Or to say, oh, but you guys was in chains. Screw you and your mama. Your mama was in chains. Don't accept that no more, y'all. Got to stop talking about that. Got to stop putting yourself down and, oh, because it's so and so. No, no, no. The change is in your mind. They're putting the change in your mind every time you think of doing something or you feel a certain way or somebody act ignorant and you're like, oh, because of this. No, no. They acting ignorant because of the influence that's telling them to act ignorant. There's a lot of bad influences out there. When Martin Luther King was talking about civil rights and stuff like that, equality, he wasn't talking about freeing a slave. He was talking about just having equal rights to do and be the same. Like there wasn't most of us on TV. We wasn't on TV. We wasn't in commercials and stuff like that. And we didn't have, like just even a regular job. It's like, oh, we ain't gonna hire y'all. We're gonna make sure, no, don't hire this one. So then they made this affirmative action thing. Like, okay, if there's individuals discriminating, and I tell you, you know, it wasn't like the government was doing it. It was individuals. And for my white brothers and sisters, listen up what I'm saying is to you. It was like, remember when the pandemic happened and the government was not telling you to do things, but an individual was? And if you wasn't following the rules that the individuals was enforcing what they did to them, that's the same thing that was happening to black folks back in the 60s, 40s, and stuff like that. It wasn't like government pushing it. It was the people themselves, and the government didn't even do nothing about it. Just like when the pandemic, the government didn't even step in. People was enforcing stuff. The government did say some things, oh, we can't do it. It was like that. It was like somebody called themselves joking about something with you, like, oh, look at him and how he's he's wearing this and wearing that, and then somebody come whispering in their ear, hey, and talk about his hair. Oh yeah, your hair suck, and you know that's what like the government would do. You know, they would see what's going on, and maybe somebody would, well, add this in there with that, since y'all want to do that or be this way. And this is what I'm getting off track, but this is what I'm trying to say is the individuals was doing that. They was enforcing. They wasn't hiring. They was denying, even if the job was not discriminatory. They wasn't that type of people. They was like, oh, we're hiring anybody who could do the job. There was people in the levels who was there in HR who's supposed to accept the applications of people and get qualified people in the job. They would still say, oh, even if he's or she's of the minority race, I'm not going to take them. I will put somebody else there, and I'll keep going until I find people of my race who could do the job. And if I run out, I will hire unqualified. We'll just help them along the way. And that's what was happening when a lot of cases. And excuse me, in civil rights, Martin Luther King and a few people in the government also helped with their affirmative action thing, get a lot of things in there. And then that was also bad because then they'll make sure, all right, I'm going to hire one of them, but I'll make sure they're not qualified, so they look bad. And then this affirmative action Bobby thing would be thrown away. It's racism is ugly, but what I'm trying to say is now there's a lot of us on TV, a lot of us millionaires, and even we see some billionaires. And there's a lot of shows that's now dedicated to showing our mind, to change our mind to be or act a certain way, even at a certain age. And it's influencing the negativity towards all ages, not just the youth, but to the older folks as well. And a lot of the older folks are trying to, be more of a younger, older person. Oh, I look good. I look like this for my age. Hell, okay, cool, yeah. But the insides of those is old, but I'm sorry. What I'm saying is, why not be old and wise? Why you have to be young like her, run with her or him? Hell, you had your time when you was young. Let them kids play. Let them kids do what they want to do. It's now time for you to teach. It's time for you to be the leader. Nobody want to take the lead. And the ones who do want to take the lead, they like that excuse me, Pied Piper gonna lead us off the edge of the cliff, and we're gonna die. But oh no. Okay. Now back to the arousal thing. Back in the days, young black women was not allowed to wear a certain attire, right? When they got older and became adults, they was do their own thing. They wear whatever they want, and I'm telling you, I'm going to say it right now. And because I said to a young black girl, young black woman, saying girl, she ain't no girl, she was a woman. I explained to her, I said, that back in the 70s, your grandmother wore that, they used to wear this and wear that. And they're like, what? Now, in the 70s, I was a baby, right? I was a little boy. But I remember, I remember, like black women had wigs, nails, fake nails and stuff. Big earrings, lashes, eyelashes. Yes, yes, y'all. All that stuff that y'all think that is new, your great grandma wore that same stuff, right? And when they go out, they would wear it and they would put it on and they would dance. It would, do the same thing. They had like I see now, I mean, it was summertime and I'm like, yo, is she in her underwear? Yo, what is that, y'all? What is that y'all wearing? And I'm like, yo, what is some of, well, a whole lot, but I know it is some that's not doing that. But a lot of young, I'm going to ask you a question. If you look at the way y'all dress today, right? The way you dress, okay, you got the body, I got the shape, right? But if you look at the way you dress today, when you call yourself being sexy, back in the 70s, right? Back in the 80s, and even in the 90s, now I'm telling you, the ladies of the night wore those clothes that you're wearing today. How you got influenced to wear the clothes of the ladies of the night, and you got influenced by someone with your same skin tone, and they was hired to do that. They was hired to push that out for our people, for our young women and young men, because they have them dressed in certain ways. And I'm gonna say, it's like, and then they taking y'all backwards. I noticed because I see a lot of young kids smoking marijuana, doing other drugs and stuff. And in the 60s, right, before I was born, and in the 50s, like in the late 50s into the 60s, they had black and whites was together enjoying the music, but they was doing the drugs as well. And they was smoking young, even into their 20s, from their teens to the 20s, you know? And it's like that's what they doing. They pushing that same alternative throughout the neighborhood. And you know what happened? What happened with those people in the 60s when they was doing all that? There was a war that a lot of those young kids from the 60s had to fight and they was drafted to fight in. It's called the Vietnam War. And they snatched a whole lot of them up. And even when they came back, they was still messed up. So it's like they doing something. I don't know if that's gonna happen, you know, but it was something dealing with America, and they said the Russians had something to do with helping the other side against America. So guys, I'm telling y'all, don't be don't bite into or feed into some of that stuff. With refrain from it if you can. But once again, the mindset of what's proper attire, right? Got a lot of people now. a lot of the young men are getting aroused. And when a man is aroused, his mindset don't think right. So if y'all ever wonder why the young men act the way they act, why they just constantly acting ignorant, saying things, like for instance, there's a lot of backlash when a woman says, excuse me, when a woman says something to a young man, or a young man says something to a woman, and she don't respond proper to his thing, or don't give him audience, and he may act a certain way. Take note that a lot of these guys are being stimulated without even knowing it. If you heterosexual and all you see is half dressed women walking by every now and then, you know, your mindset of how you would speak to a person, even speaking to the other guys, is like kind of rough, and they don't understand what's going on, you know. But they're they becoming the testosterone is causing them to be savage, and what's happening to them with, when a woman who's, like a young woman dressed like that constantly come around, walk by, they like, even if they looking and see and they seen it so much, they still feel that arousement. They don't, and they always fired up. So these young black dudes is always fired up, always in that mode of attack, you know. And I'm not talking about attack the woman, but just attack life, you know. If you constantly being stimulated and there is no release, you can become frustrated. And that's what I'm trying to say. They're constantly being frustrated, especially the ones who have no release. And so when their reactions are becomes weird, and people are like, what's wrong with these men today? Why are they acting this way? It's because they're constantly becoming stimulated, and it's being stimulated by what they love, you know, the woman that they love, you know. And that's what's happening. That's been happening to the black male youth who is heterosexual. They and the women are taught that that's sexy and that's proper to dress. And the reason why they did that to them, they teaching that, is for you to destroy the minds of the young black men. So when you walk around like that, you are a weapon against him and his intelligence, so that he would never be able to qualify, never be able to mentally function when he go into the streets or when he walks in his daily life. Um, it won't happen to all men, but it will happen to a majority, and they will. You can see them. Women, as our mothers and as our counterparts, you control all of us. You control black men. And let me explain this to you, this part. When you're pregnant and you have a child, I don't care if it's male or female, what's going on with you here and spiritually, it's what's happening with the child dictates what that child's gonna do, how that child's gonna be. You who already gave birth to children. You ever got picked on by a certain person messed with you, and when your child came out, or yeah, you picked on them, or but your child came out, they remind you of that person, even that person not the father, not related, you know, because that person teased you, that person harassed you, and I'm talking about in a nice way, where they're always joking and messing with you, and the next thing you know, your kid come out looking or being like that person because you started adoring that person. Whatever you love, your child is influenced to love. You're building a human. You're building a being. No, they're not gonna just constantly. That's the thing they're gonna do, but it's gonna be within them. You know, it's the same thing like anger. If you don't like something, you're angry at it, you hate it. Your rage. Your rage is more influence in a child, and this is why they kept things oppressed within the black community, because it will make the woman, when she's having a child, the struggle will be within the child. Everything that's bothering her, she's pushing into her newborn. And the newborn come out with that sense of being under a struggle, even if they're not, you know. And this is why I say also to black men, you have a woman pregnant with your child, try to ease her. Make sure she's more happy than sad. Make sure she's less stressed and don't have no worries. I know it's hard, dudes. I know that's a hard thing. This is why you should also have a child with someone you could always make happy. Someone who always you could do a little bit just to make her happy, a little bit of you, where things that you could do don't that's not hard for you to do, you know. And she's happy with that. So, that's another thing. This is a thing that was supposed to be passed down to every male. That when you get involved with a woman, make sure it's a woman that you could keep happy. So if a child comes about, she will be, you could always keep that joy within her. And I'm telling you, when that child come out, that child will be very successful, because it'll be take a lot to bring them down. Get what I'm saying? To break their focus. And they don't teach that. They didn't teach that to a lot of people. But this message was just about why a lot of black men are doing or acting a certain way. Why black women, why you saying that you see black men and they're acting weird and this and that. And people like, oh, they were raised by their mama. They were raised by their... Shut the hell up about that. It don't matter who raised you. It don't matter who raised you. You're all here. You know? People like, oh, because they was raised by a man. What man? What man in their life? You don't need a man in your life to be a man. Most of the people speaking that, they didn't have no man in their life. Their father wasn't there, and then they know, oh, I had an uncle. This and that. It's still not your daddy. You know what I'm saying? You had your mother. Your mother is the one who influenced you. before you were born. How were you in the womb? What was she pushing through to you while you was in the womb? So also, black women, that man ain't there. Don't let his struggle that he putting on you influence what you have in the womb. You influence yourself. You think of positive things. You know, and I'm gonna tell you this also. A lot of black men who goes a little angry at black women a lot. Let me tell you something. That's his mom anger towards another black woman or another woman who her husband or the man she had him by was dealing with while she was pregnant. So he become her rage, her revenge on other women, So this is what's been happening. If your spouse or the one who you have the child by has been cheating on you or doing something and you're pregnant with that child and you're aware of it, your rage and hatred for that woman will be stored within your child, especially if it's a male. And I'm going to tell you something that you can identify, help yourself with. Let's say this male child already, he went through that with his mom. Notice the woman that he has more of a hatred towards. And then you got to look at the woman who she had a problem with and see if they match. Let's say the woman had blue hair and green skin, right? And next thing you know, he don't like the blue hair, green skin woman. She pisses him off. That's her rage within her son. Every male offspring is their mother's revenge or love for the world. And you gotta understand this. Black women, you control black men from the beginning, and when you release them into the world, they're on their own. This is how they start developing. If they have that rage and that anger, they're subject to increase that rage and anger towards the same situations. I know it's hard to be happy all the time, but because you know or you feel you're going to get pregnant or whatever, find things that make you happy and joyful. It's only for 9 months, girls. In fact, you don't have to do it for the full 9 months, but at least for the first 6. And this is important. This is how a lot of black women back in the days used to find that cheat sheet for their male. And that's how their men, all them powerful men, those great men, that you never even heard of. Even great women. Woman, I don't care if it's a male or female in your body. This is what you do. You find that joy. Find that thing that makes you happy, before you get pregnant, something that you could do for months and months on end and not be unhappy. Keep yourself from drama. Keep yourself from absorbing negativity for those 9 months, and watch what your baby do. Watch how innovative your child become. Men, help that woman. If you want to have the best for your child, it's not the wealth of things you could buy them. It's starting out while they're with or inside your spouse. Help keep her happy. Help keep her positive. That is your future with her. Everything that she birthed from you is your future. It's a piece of you that said you were here in this world. Don't take it as a threat. Take it as a blessing and show the world how great you are. And never leave, man. Stop that. Stop that. Choose the right one for you. Choose the one to make you happy. And females do the same. I know I'm not that much of a good speaker, but I hope this message does help some people. Thank you for listening, and God bless.